Welcome to Shattered Reality with your hosts Kate Valentine and Fahrusha. Prepare to have your paradigms shifted and your truths questioned. And now, Shattered Reality.
Hey there, this is Fahrusha.
And Kate Valentine, welcome back.
Yes, indeed. We have a wonderful guest today. It is Mr. Ken Pfeifer, and he is, according to my understanding, he is the head of New Jersey MUFON. He has been a pilot and a Desert Storm veteran. And in addition to that, he maintains one of the most comprehensive UFO websites filled with wonderful accounts and pictures and all sorts of things called World UFO. And in addition to that, he himself is an investigator of the Mars photographs and the moon photographs, and he has found a number of startling anomalies. So let me welcome our friend, Mr. Ken Pfeifer.
Yay! Thanks for being here, Ken. We really appreciate it. I saw on your website some of the anomalies. They're fascinating. Is there?
I have quite a few. I think I sent you only a few. I have literally hundreds of them out there, and I have been searching some last night. I found a few other strange things, and it's sometimes I think I'm the only one out there that's looking at these high definition photos from NASA, from the moon, Mars. I was looking at some Mercury photos last night.
Mercury is fascinating. The colors on Mercury are just unbelievable.
Yeah, they said something very. I saw a special on TV about it, and of course Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. I believe they say it's roughly about 800 degrees Fahrenheit. But strange enough, they feel that they have found either water or ice on Mercury, and I'm still having trouble wrapping my head around that. So,
I think I know the reason for that, Ken.
What's that?
I think, and I could be mistaken, I'm not an astronomer, but it always, one side always faces the sun. In other words, we have a 24-hour day, but their day is exactly as long as their circulate, making one circle around one revolution around the sun. So one side of the planet is hotter than the hinges of heck, and the other side is not as hot, and it can get rather cold because it never faces the sun. Now, I think that's the reason.
Well, that is the reason that was given. However, how did it acquire water in the first place, and why didn't it just? Now I'm going to forget the term. This is great.
Why didn't it just
not
sublimate?
Supplement, yeah, sublimate right out.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but they say now NASA has said that the whole solar system is awash in water, that turns out there's a lot more water in the solar system than previously thought. So Ken, do you think that could be a sign towards maybe a little bit of disclosure?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think basically what it's saying to me is I respect the scientists, and I wish I was a scientist myself, and I wish I had the education that these scientists do. But quite frankly, I think these scientists are guessing, and it seems like every day, every week, we're finding new things that are blowing these scientists' theories out of the water. And I really don't think we really know that much. I think we're just guessing at this point, especially with this Mercury finding here with the ice or water on Mercury. I mean, who would have thought?
Yeah, really.
Well,
it's changing theories as we speak.
It's more than the water. They found what they felt was an organic matter on top of the water.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
I didn't read that. That's news to me. I guess I'm a little bit behind in my reading.
NASA's weather site or something.
Oh, cool!
Yeah.
I have to take a look at that.
Well, not only that, but a long time ago there was somebody. Who's the guy from Chicago that investigated the airport sighting? I can't think of his name, but anyway, he was very interested in going to the Southwest, and he found that there was an indication on some of the ancient pictographs or whatever that they had found this black tarry substance that they felt was a precursor to DNA.
Wow.
And he was investigating that, and of course you had the X-Files with that black gunk.
And, of course, the red rain
in
India and all of that stuff.
Yeah, sorry, Ken, but go ahead.
Yeah, but we should be...
I'm learning as I listen here.
But we should be asking you to give a little bit of a history about yourself and how it is that you became so fascinated with the UFO topic, because we are both fascinated with the topic.
Yeah, I think I sent you. I'm pretty sure I sent you I'm assuming you guys can post photos on your podcast there.
Well, we don't post it exactly on the podcast. We post it on our website, which is associated with the podcast, and we are going to post several photos, around this particular broadcast. But we are going to keep the photos for use when we post our podcast to YouTube. Currently, our podcast goes out not only on our websites and the old Kate Valentine UFO show, Atlantic Coast UFOs site, but also on iTunes. But iTunes does not have photos, but our website does. And a number of those photos which you sent us will be on our website.
Oh, good. Okay. That sounds great. Because I did send you a photo. I'm sure you saw it. It's 1956, Ocean City, New Jersey. And
yes, that was an amazing photo.
I found that in one of our shoebox albums, and I said, "Holy smokes, what is this?" And of course, no one really noticed it. And I showed it to my wife, and she said, it looks like a wave to me. And I'm saying, I told her, well, if that was a wave, it would be about 100 feet high.
Yeah, it was up in the sky.
Yeah, I had it analyzed, and quite frankly, I had quite a few people, photo analysts, tell me that there's a definite object there. Of course, they're not sure what it is, but the people in the front, that's my father, the tall guy, and that's my aunt and uncle. My mother's probably taking the photo, and I'm probably one of the kids in the surf. But what has really got me interested in UFOs was, of course, I was born in Philadelphia, but at the age of 7, we moved to a little town called National Park, New Jersey. Now, National Park is right on the Delaware River, and it's right across from the Philadelphia Naval Yard, and of course, catty corner to the Philadelphia International Airport. So, I've been kind of looking in the sky and seeing planes, all my life, especially the Philadelphia Naval Yard. At one time there, they had I believe it was the F-102 Delta Daggers. They had a squadron of them there, and they used to fly over our house in formation, setting up for approach for landing. And I've just been accustomed to looking in the sky, and since I've been 6 or 7 years old, and I've been very interested in the the planets and the stars at night. And as a matter of fact, we stood on my front lawn there when Sputnik flew over. I think it was October of '57. Me and my dad and my mom went out front there and stood on the front lawn and watched Sputnik fly over. And that was very fascinating to me. So that kind of got me interested in looking at the sky, and then you start seeing things from there. If you're not looking in the sky, you're not going to see any UFOs. Is the point I'm trying to make here. But
absolutely,
it's very interesting.
Yes, indeed. I am a real sky watcher myself, and as you know, I've reported a couple of things that I've seen to you, including the huge fireball that I saw back, I guess it was about 4 years ago now, in March, one of those March fireballs. And that was, although not generally considered to be a UFO, it is an anomalous kind of an event where they move a lot slower than your typical, meteor, like from a little shooting star. These are big things, and they just an amazing sight. But if I hadn't been looking up, I wouldn't have seen it. And my companion who was walking with me, she refused to look up. I'm screaming and pointing, and she's looking at me as though I'd lost my only brain. And meanwhile, I saw this amazing, show in the sky, and she missed it all.
Well, I want to give you something to think about, and this is something that kind of it came to me in a thought a few months ago that a lot of people write off strange lights in the skies with trails and everything else as meteors. And I'm saying to myself, what if these are alien crafts just entering our atmosphere? And, of course, anything entering our atmosphere is going to glow. And, that's just something that I'm thinking about. I think that possibly a lot of these meteor sightings that we have had over the centuries were possibly alien craft just entering our atmosphere.
Yeah, I have given that some thought, and particularly in some of the meteors that were going over, supposed meteors that were going over Ohio and Pennsylvania.
Oh, that one big bolide.
And then, the huge bolide, but then it changed direction. And meteors, whether they be fireballs, the bigger bolides, as Kate said, or regular meteors, they don't change direction, generally speaking. They come right down. So, but particularly of interest to me, what had been known as the Februari Fireballs that have been known about for about 20 years now, and now they're moving well into March. And it caused me to call up the old Kate Valentine UFO show and ask a couple of the guests who were in astronomy whether we could be moving through a debris field at that point in our orbit around the sun, and both of these astronomers seem to agree that might be the case. But, there are things that we see in the sky, and they may have multiple causes. The same, we might say one thing is a meteor, and actually is three different things,
That's you're absolutely right.
So have you had any good personal sightings? I know you've investigated a number of very interesting cases, and we should mention that you are a STAR investigator, I believe, and a strike force investigator?
Strike team. Area researcher or something of that nature.
Yes, to M.U.F.O.N. Well, I am, as a matter of fact, I am, as of right now at M.U.F.O.N., I am chief investigator with M.U.F.O.N. in New Jersey, and they just promoted me to state director of Vermont and also Rhode Island.
Wow.
So,
I'm working on 3 states right now, but I'm also a member of the STAR team, which means Strike Team Area Research, and I'm a member of that. As a matter of fact, they deployed me out to London, Connecticut a few years ago. There was a humongous triangle that was witnessed flying over New London, Connecticut, and I went out there for 3 days and did a lot of interviews and talked to a lot of people. Now, in New London, Connecticut, they have the Coast Guard Academy. They also have General Dynamics. They're the people who, they're the ones who make the nuclear submarines, of course, and they also have the nuclear submarine pens right there. And,
yes, indeed, they do.
And they also have a nuclear plant right there on the coast there, not far from New London. And, of course, Groton is right across the bay there, and they have a control tower airport there. So, make a long story short, I talked to a lot of people. I talked to the police. I tried to talk to the local newspaper people there in New London, they didn't want anything to do with me. I mean, they were very rude, and I never even got a chance to actually talk to the editor. But
jeez.
I came up with nothing. Basically, I really couldn't find any witnesses to corroborate what my witness saw. But I would think that if a triangle or if an alien craft was to want to investigate an area, New London and Groton would be the perfect place because of the nuclear, submarines and everything else that's going on there. But that was a very interesting case. That happened a few years ago.
Ken, I think we should mention too that when you go out to investigate for MUFON, it's not like you just go out. There's a long series of training lessons that are associated with that, and a sort of a protocol as to how you do investigate these cases, and more importantly, how you report them and record them. And at least it's some, even though the gathering of data on these cases is so sketchy and so difficult, at least it's a start. And I think it's very important that you do that. So thank you for doing that hard work.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I love it. It's very interesting. At the time, Bigelow, he's the trillionaire.
Yeah, Bob Bigelow, indeed.
Bigelow Aerospace, he's the one who was running the show, basically, and he was paying us to do this, but a couple of years later, he decided to drop out and not pay investigators to go out on these sightings. But from what I understand, any UFO sightings from the government or the Air Force or any of the militaries, they go directly to Bigelow Aerospace.
That seems like a breach of protocol, doesn't it?
Why, no.
Oh, yeah.
Why, no, nothing to see here. Just move along.
Keep it moving, because it's a private company. Have you ever gotten to meet him, by the way?
Has anybody ever met him? I mean, this is
George
like,
Knapp met him, I'm sure.
Are you sure?
Well, I think so, yeah.
Well, he met somebody.
Yeah.
Who is this Mr. Bigelow?
Yeah, he's big into, I think he's trying to find some kind of foothold in space there for some reason. He's doing this for some kind of a profit, because the reason why he was involved with MUFON is because he wanted to be the first one to be contacted if we were to find any evidence or a crash saucer or apparently he was going to take these objects and reverse engineer them and make money from it, is what I thought.
Well, I think that if he were I had heard two different stories, that he had a son that passed away, and he was very interested in finding some way to contact him, and so therefore things involving paranormal kind of interested him. But I would think that the way that NASA has gone towards the electromagnetic engineering now, which I think, and this is a supposition, there's a fellow down south named Ray Sanford who has been taking pictures of UFOs with regular, like old-fashioned film cameras and slides and stuff, and he was visited by a professor from RPI named Dr. Luc Rambaud, something French, and that this guy is the head of space engineering at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, and it's believed that he visited him to reverse engineer or to see what might be propelling these UFOs. And now the NASA has come out with this whole idea that perhaps they can make things go through space through electromagnetic propulsion, which was previously thought to be not doable, but now they're apparently doing it. But let's get back to you. And
yeah.
Your wife had a triangle sighting in New Jersey?
Well, first of all, I did have a sighting there, and my first actual sighting, I guess you can say, was in Brooklyn, New Jersey, in 1974. It was September, October of '74, we were friend and I. We were traveling home from we were out at a club, and it's about 3 o'clock in the morning, I guess, and we were heading down Route 295 there, interstate. And we came up to an overpass, and we went under the overpass. And as soon as I was the passenger, so I'm always looking around. And I saw a humongous disc. It was a turquoise color.
Turquoise. Wow.
It was just above, almost peeking out of the cloud of the overcast. I guess it was about a 300-foot ceiling that night. And this thing was humongous, and it was traveling towards the Philadelphia airport. Because this area, Brooklawn, Belmar area, that is within the 5-mile TCA terminal control area of Philadelphia International. So, of course, me and my friend, I wasn't drunk or anything or whatever, and I saw it, and he didn't because, he was driving, and we drove around till the sun came up looking for this thing, which we didn't see it anymore. But the next day in I believe it was the Gloucester Times, Woodbury Times at that point, they had an article about Deptford policemen and quite a few witnesses that did see something strange in the sky that night. So I've been trying to get hold of them articles, but of course, these are the newspaper doesn't exist anymore, and I'll have to go through some boxes looking through some old.
Maybe the library
or
down
go
there
online.
has
Just
microfiche. Sometimes the libraries have microfiche that you can look at.
It's probably online.
I should have saved that, and it's funny because in 2006, right down the road there, in Westville, New Jersey, which sits right on the Delaware River, and it's close to within that 5-mile area of Philadelphia International Airport. We were at it was my wife's 50th birthday, as a matter of fact, and we went to a fireworks display in Westville, New Jersey, and we, just before the fireworks started. There was another, overcast again. The ceiling was probably about 200 foot, and you could hear the planes flying over you going into Philadelphia International. And darn if something didn't peek out of the clouds there. It looked like it had portholes. It was a 2-second sighting, but this thing peeked out of the overcast and just slowly moved back into the overcast. And
wow.
It wasn't a plane. I have no idea what it was. There was a couple witnesses that also saw that was with me because I was, with M.U.F.O.N at the time, and of course, now I'm fully looking in the sky. But that was pretty incredible, and I believe a lot of this happens. I think these alien craft, they like airports, they like military bases. They like nuclear plants, airports, of course, and they're very, very interested in lights, especially. We get a lot of sightings up towards the Manhattan area on the New Jersey side because I think at nighttime, any alien craft that's flying around up in the atmosphere, the lights of Manhattan would of course draw them, would make them curious as to what is all this light down there on the ground, and I think that's why we have a lot of sightings down that way.
Have you attempted to corroborate with any radar information?
No, forget it. They don't want anything to do with this. Trying to get some radar information from any of the airports. They won't even talk to you. It's as a matter of fact, that time I was up there in New London, Connecticut, Groton Airport had a control tower, and I wanted to talk to the people up there to see if they had any radars of triangles flying over on a certain date, and they wouldn't even let me in the gate.
Well, so now it seems as though it's going to be even less. We will all have less ability to find out any information from the airlines or the control towers simply because of this recent tragedy, the German wings tragedy, and it's always been a black mark on a pilot's record to report having seen a UFO. And now that they're cracking down on the psychological testing for pilots, if a pilot reports having seen a UFO, it gives them the powers that be an opportunity to pull him out. And so they'll be less likely to say. And they've already been not that likely to talk about it because it's a career buster.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. Because when I was in McGuire Air Force Base, I was there for 9 years, a Desert Storm veteran, and I was basically I worked for the commander. I was called SEQC. We quality control. We basically evaluated all the sections of the squadron just to make sure that they were doing everything properly, under regulations of the Air Force. And in that position, I was able to talk to a lot of people, a lot of pilots, and I was always asking pilots, hey, have you guys seen anything crazy up there? And they all shied away from that question. They really didn't want anything to do with it. So, I got zero information from the Air Force pilots, and like you said, they're afraid of being criticized and possibly losing their rights to fly.
Well, actually, I think you got a lot of information. If they hadn't seen anything, they would have just simply said no. The fact that they didn't say anything probably indicates that they did see something and they just didn't want to discuss it.
Exactly.
So I think that probably indicates there was a lot of information there. But as far as gathering radar information, there was a young man that used to write in frequently on the old UFO show, Freeman, and he kept trying to develop a protocol for radar, for triangulating these craft, and if you look him up on the old Kate Valentine UFO show website and get in touch with him, he'd be more than interested in trying to help you get some of this information. He's been working on it for years and not getting too far.
Well, apparently they did do something out there in not Stephenville, the Phoenix Lights. Didn't they get some corroboration, or was it Stephenville? Maybe it was Stephenville.
I think Stephenville.
Stephenville, yeah. Case.
Yeah, sometimes they do. I mean, sometimes if it's a high-profile case and you get a lot of people involved, a lot of officials, a lot of higher-ups. Oh yeah. Sometimes you will get some radar information from the facilities, but typically trying to call an airport and talking to the radar personnel there at the airport about a possible UFO that flew over a couple days ago, they don't even want to talk to you.
Yeah, no, that's not good. You had sent some remarkable pictures from a MUFON case that you investigated in Alloway Township, New Jersey. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, that was really pretty incredible. I got a call and someone, an amateur astronomer, as a matter of fact. He lived in Clayton, New Jersey. He was retired. He was a businessman, retired with his wife. It was just him and his wife. And, he was interested in the stars, so he decided to move from Clayton, New Jersey, down to Alloway Township, which is down in the Bridgeton area of southern New Jersey. It's very rural, a lot of horse farms, a lot of cattle. And, he had a small observatory that he built in his backyard. And, there was no light pollution. You could see everything. It was just an incredible, sight for looking at the stars, especially for him. But I went down there and we got the call, and I interviewed the witness, concerning the sighting, and he provided a drawing of the flying triangle that passed over his observatory on October 13, 2006 at around 12:45 a.m. He said that I was confronted with an enormous object clearly defined by ambient lights. I thought it was crashing, but as it approached my observatory, it began to rise. This thing was barely moving forward, and I could not have been more than 200 feet above me, probably less. I can make out details of rivets and bolts in its construction. As the object's rounded nose began to approach me, I was really taken back by its brightly lit windows. It was shocking to see a humanoid form moving as it was pacing back and forth in a large portico, about 8 feet square. As it got closer, the figure moved away from the window. The figure is shown in the upper right-hand side of the drawing. I thought it was, I thought there was no one at the controls. I got the impression it was getting ready to hover as its open hatch moved directly over me, and I was entertaining some negative thoughts regarding my own safety.
Hey, indeed.
Yeah, now what we thought, what this open hatch, he said he described it as like a big black dumpster was hanging from under this humongous triangle. And, of course, the only conclusion that we came to was, we felt that this thing was possibly looking for cattle or horses or something out there. And let me read a little bit further here. It was at least 2 stories high with 2 large windows, port and starboard. It had a rounded nose. There were 3 opaque light-type structures, 2 large turbo-type structures, large in diameter and shorter in length than those on commercial aircraft. 8 flaps or stabilizer-type structures aft, a very large square black container type structure protruding off-center from its belly. An open hatch and other bulky geometric shapes that I saw, but I can only remember they were thick, huge, bulky, with an incredible amount of drag that it would not be, it wouldn't be possible. There would be too much drag there to on this craft to fly it.
To remain up.
Almost immediately, I felt a surge of static electricity that tingled my face and hair on my arms and head, and its tail section was about to pass over me. I quickly swung the dome and heard a low-pitched roar with the sound of bacon sizzling in a frying pan. Suddenly, it was gone. No sound, and I did a 360-degree search, but suddenly there was nothing there. Now, the crazy part about this was, of course, I had to go over his house, and he was afraid to go outside.
Hey, I would be too.
I visited him. I went over 3 or 4 times, and finally, we talked. I calmed him down, and he finally got the nerve to go out to his observatory again. The crazy part is he has another incredible sighting. I sent you some photos of them.
Two shapes like 2 long tube-like shapes that were lit up. Is that what you're speaking of?
Yeah, they're the ones. Now, let me tell you about this one here. Now, they were stationary. I was at a convention in Baltimore. I had a presentation of UFO photos with, for my website, worldufophotos.org. I did a photo presentation, and of course, I had the bunker say, "Well, this was an airplane, and because of the the camera settings, this is just lights from an airplane that was flying by." Well, from the many pictures I have, this object was stationary. It was rotating on its axis, and we got a few pictures. Well, he got a few pictures of this triangle rotating on its axis, and quite frankly, I think they're the most spectacular nighttime photos I've ever seen.
Wow!
So now the information about this was 9/24/07. Less than a year later. The witness said that on the night of September 24, 2007 was brightly lit due to a full moon. It was approximately 11:30 p.m., and I was outside with a digital camera nearby. I had nothing special in mind, but due to the bizarre experience I had last October 2006, this experience had been recorded on the MUFON website. I always keep a camera on hand when I'm out at night. See, what this guy, he takes a lot of photos of the planets and the moon, but apparently he didn't really have anything small that he could take pictures. I guess he would never expect anything to fly right over his observatory. All the equipment he had, he was taking photos of the universe and everything else. Apparently, he had a lot of high-tech equipment, but he didn't have a camera to take close-ups of, flying saucers coming over his house there.
Right,
so
right.
now he has a camera in hand, and he said, a bright light again caught my eye, and I observed this rectangular-shaped light begin to rise slowly behind a tree line in the south, approximately 1 mile away. This object appeared to hover for about 20 seconds and then began to travel west at a very slow speed. As it began moving west, it seemed to pivot on both the vertical and horizontal axis, revealing more detail until it disappeared behind a tree. I captured this object with my digital, and my pictures came out surprisingly well. I use a Canon 20D-A, which I use for astrophotography. I have transferred these images to a disc. And my note was, this guy here, this witness, he became a MUFON investigator because of this incident.
Oh, very cool.
This kind of sparked his interest, and he did become an investigator, but he only investigated a few cases, and him and his wife, I believe they moved to either Delaware or Maryland. So
Ken, are you aware? Yeah. I looked at those photographs, and we will display that photo, at least one of those photographs, on our website so our listeners can see it. But I was struck by the similarity of that double tube-like structure that was in the photograph to sightings, dual sightings that happened, I would say about 2, maybe 3 years ago, and were reported concurrently, first down in Tennessee or Kentucky by also an amateur astronomer, and then about a week later it was reported by a gentleman in not all the way upstate, but like nearby upstate New York, who ran a small airport for personal planes, for private pilots. And in both of these cases, there was the same type of structure. And I believe that these two cases were reported by Linda Moulton Howe. And but the pictures that these people came up with and the description is very much like the picture of your Alloway Township, not the initial one because there is no picture, but the second one with the two tube-like structures. So I was struck by the similarity of those things.
Yeah, now, as a matter of fact, I do have. I think there's. I'm sure I have the photos there. Or, as a matter of fact, I used a couple of the photos in my presentation in Baltimore. But I have some pretty. I have a few photos that are very almost exact as to what I have here in Alloway Township, and I forget their locations, but I can. If you need them, I can look them up for you. But basically, these photos are from people like himself, astro photographers who are capturing these things in the higher altitude of our Earth here. They're probably pretty high up, 50, 60, 70, 80,000 miles up, and they're the kind of objects that these guys are capturing on with their equipment. So. That was my. I have many cases, many interesting cases, but I think this is the one that I really like the best. This one here. Now this area here, as you can see, there's high power lines in the photo, and Salem nuclear plant is only 13 miles away, and Dover Air Force Base is across the bay there. That sits about 26 miles away, which is, a very short distance. But I think that these things are interested in the nuclear plants. I don't know if they're drawing energy off the high power lines, but in this case, like I said, I think they were looking for cattle or horses that were in the area.
Just to abduct them or to experiment on them?
Just take them away, I guess, is the only thing. That's the only reason why we thought that these things were flying over. So.
Have you ever been to the observatory at the Jenny Jump out in, I guess it's in Warren County? I don't think that's terribly far away from you. I don't know where you are exactly located, but I know you're, in the Pennsylvania border region there. Have you ever been up there to look through those telescopes? The astronomers set up these huge telescopes in Jenny Jump.
No, I would love to. See, we're down here in South Jersey. I'm down near Vineland. I'm very, very South Jersey.
Oh, okay.
These are, as a matter of fact, we do have some observatories. I believe at Stockton, there was a state college. I think it just transferred over to a Stockton University. I'm pretty sure they have an observatory right there. As a matter of fact, I've seen it. I've seen it. It sits out on the out in the field, and I wish I had the time. There just doesn't seem to be enough hours in the day. I wish I had the time to go there and to look through a very sophisticated type of telescope to look. And I'd be more. I would probably sit there and watch the moon all day. Is what I would. As a matter of fact, I have people that are constantly send me photos of objects that are just flying across the moon.
Wow.
So what do you think the reaction of the crowd would be? Let's say you had 10 or 15 amateur astronomers in a nice setup in an outdoor like Jenny Jump, and a triangular craft, one of the triangles, flew overhead. Do you think that they would try to discount it? Don't believe my lying eyes type of reaction, or do you think they'd actually try to investigate it? What do you think the human reaction to that would be?
Well, that's a good question. If they're scientists, they probably won't believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll say it's a military craft,
experimental craft, or
they're going to come up with 1,000 excuses why. If they can't touch it, see it, feel it, smell it, or taste it, it doesn't exist.
Well,
but I think most people would probably be. Either convinced or especially with the triangles these days. Of course, some of the planes that we're developing, like the B-2 bomber and all that, the F-117, they all have that triangular shape. And I'm sure there are some experimental planes out there that have that triangular form, but you can't write off all these sightings to experimental aircraft with the military. That's for sure. Apparently, these triangles have been around for hundreds, if not thousands, of years, and we're still discovering sightings that have happened, hundreds of years ago that people were either fondly found in journals or diaries and things like that. So, I think these triangles could either be alien or some of them could be, experimental aircraft.
Ken, my experience with the guys up at the Jenny Jump, a lot of them are like college professors in different scientific pursuits, yes, and some of them are from the college in Newark, the engineering college in NJIT, and after speaking to a number of them, sort of putting it to them, I think that it's like 1 out of 3 of them sort of gives the idea of a UFO possibility some credence, and the other 2 out of 3, I would say, kind of poo-poos it. And like you said, the people are wanting to prove the materialist, mechanistic universe theory, because that's what they grew up studying and believing, and perhaps they don't have enough view to see the possibilities that things can get here from other places through wormholes, etc.
Sure. Now, I've said before, and I'll say it again, that I don't think anyone, even myself, even yourself, you don't have any idea how big this universe is. And I'll go on record and say, I feel there's trillions upon trillions of Earth-like planets out there floating around in space.
Yes.
Just like and that's how big the universe is, and these scientists talk about, we think we found the end of the universe. What's at the end, what's on the other, was there a wall? Is there a Starbucks on the other side of this wall? It's just, it boggles my mind.
Well, Einstein said that that space-time folds in on itself, and so it does have a finite boundary. But I have to agree with you. Like, okay, so space ends here, but what's behind it? Well, more space.
They say it's curved, but I don't think they really know.
Or the saddle-shaped, or all these. Anyway,
these ideas.
I don't know.
A torus shape, a torus. I don't quite get it, but it keeps changing, as you've said, Ken.
I do think, though, that they're trying to. Slowly but surely, first they introduce planets, and then exoplanets, and then rocky planets, and then maybe planets with rock and an atmosphere, and and look, there's water all over the place. But recently there's a great article on the blood falls in Antarctica, and there are these waterfalls that are bright red, and they feel like it's due to iron oxide, but it's a pretty eerie sight. And underneath it, in this rust water at minus God only knows what, they found all sorts of swarming bacteria and then multicellular activity as well. And so the comment was, why, if life can live here, perhaps it can live elsewhere. I go like, wow, really?
You think?
It's so interesting. I got interested in exobiology when it was considered paranormal, maybe several decades ago, and it is so annoying to me that it was so laughed at then, and it's so accepted now. And I think eventually this whole idea of alien craft visiting here will also become not laughable at some point, hopefully in our lifetime, Ken.
Before time gets away from us, there are two other things that I wanted to talk to you about. You have some opinions on disclosure and its possible negative effects. Do you want to speak to that for a couple of moments?
Yeah. Now, everybody is screaming for disclosure, and quite frankly, I don't think any president would want to come on TV and say to, I can imagine Obama coming on television and saying, "Hey, guess what, folks? We have aliens among us." I don't think any president or anyone would want to touch that with a 50-foot pole. Quite frankly, I think if disclosure does happen, I think the stock markets will crash. I think the religions, will be in turmoil. I think people will be jumping out of windows. I just think that people can't handle it. Now, a lot of people like ourselves, we have we feel that there are a lot of people out there that believe in UFOs, and I don't know if you realize it or not, but this UFO community, we're a very little community. I mean, we are. There's 330 million people in the United States, and even if 1 million people believe in UFOs, that's still a pretty small percentage. A lot of people just dismiss this stuff. They don't even want to hear about it. They don't watch the shows on TV. They think it's silly. They bury their head in the sand, and even though we think that the statistics say that 3 out of 4 people believe in alien life and UFOs, I'm saying to myself, where in the hell are they getting these figures from? Because,
I think that they're speaking more about the people who think it's possible versus you're speaking about the people who are actively interested. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think that's... I think there are a lot of people out there who just aren't interested. Like I said, I feel that the 95% of the population they're not interested. They don't even want to think about it.
Scary. So, it's kind of
that's
scary.
That's a lot of people, especially if disclosure comes. I mean, there's 95% of our population is going to be shocked, and I don't think they'd be able to handle news like that.
Well. I'm going to get into our last topic sort of around through the back door because, you do a lot of looking at photos and from the moon and from Mars. And I have several questions for you regarding that. Back a couple of years ago on my blog site, I did an article about the pictures that came from Mars of these crinoids, these obvious fossil type appearing things that were picked up by the rover, and then the rover was told to destroy them.
They were like tubes, I think, weren't they? They looked like tubes.
No, these looked more almost like the trilobites. They had a sort of a similar thing to trilobites. And if you want to, you could look at my website and you'll see the crinoids, crinoids. And people have said that these pictures, there are tubes also, on Mars. But what I'm speaking to specifically is these things that look exactly like things on Earth that are prehistoric fossils. And then somebody and the rover team apparently decided that they ought to be pulverized to look at them, and thereby destroyed it. So that is one thing that is bringing me into talking about your Mars and Moon discoveries and all the photos that you have up on your World UFO org.
Yeah, photos.org.
.org. You have to repeat that for the listeners. Go ahead, repeat that right away, because people are going to want to look at that.
And this is Ken Pfeifer, too.
World's largest website for UFO photos. I got over 8,000 photos, and it's called worldufophotos.org.
Great. So,
and my news website is worldufophotosannews.org. I got over 1,000 pretty good articles on there.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do have some very excellent articles there. So tell us a little bit, just briefly, about the kinds of things that you have, the kinds of things that you have found in the pictures, first of the Moon and then of Mars.
Well, with the Moon, I have found, as a matter of fact, there is a website. I also sent that to you. I sent you the links where I go to. So, if people are wondering where I'm getting all this information from, I'm giving you the links, and you can go find it yourself, basically.
Yes.
So, I have nothing to hide. What I find, I feel is real, and I've found. There's one photo there. It's photo number 5. I have found. This is near the Rittenhouse crater. I discovered this on 9/24/12, 7:30 p.m. There's a lot of X's on some of these photos. Now, I do agree that some of these X's could be, and I know that some of them are, X's that the people from NASA probably draw on these photos in order to help them crop photos, or they put these in a line just to section off a certain section of the Moon. But a lot of these X's are on the Moon. I mean, these are 3D X's. They're very large, and these X's are put in locations that I feel, for some reason, are very important to NASA.
Uh-huh.
And I have found tons of them out there. And as a matter of fact, on this one X here is right in basically almost the center of a crater. That was photo 5. Now I have another one that's very interesting. This is near the Zeeman U crater. I discovered this on September 14, 1912. That's photo number 4. It's the strangest thing that I've ever seen. I found this on the Moon, and as a matter of fact, the website that I go to find these things is I go to the Gazette of Planetary Nomenclature. I have the website there. It's basically planetarynames.wrwusgs. So, like I said, I sent this information to you there.
Yeah, we'll put that on the website.
Basically, what they've done is they've taken the Moon and they've cut it up into sections, different pies, and there's 141 sections there, and you're just going to go into a section, you're going to click on it, and you're just going to enlarge, the photos of the Moon, and you'd be shocked as to what you come across sometimes. So,
Ken, the photograph I found most interesting was the one that you called the bridge. Is there any sort of nearby structure which gives you an idea of how big that structure would be?
Oh, that was an incredible. That's
definitely not a natural thing. How big is it?
Wait, let me take a look at that real quick. I have that on here. Structure. It's really, now they do have as a matter of fact, they do have, I have it right here. Moon bridge structure near these. Now, as you can see, I try to put a reference in there. That's why I'm trying to put in there some Plistus B, I guess is what it's called, crater, if I pronounced that correctly. I discovered this on 9/27/12. It looks like, this is not a splice, because you can, as a matter of fact, right above that, you can see where NASA tried to splice something on the right side of the photo. Maybe they're trying to splice out buildings, or who knows what they're trying to splice out. But that photo right there is, it's kind of hard to say what that is. It's either a bridge or electrical lines, or that's a very detailed photo that I was able to pick up, and that's an incredible shot. Yeah, that's photo number 3. So like I said,
we're going to put some of them up on the website for people to look at, and we'll put the websites up as well, both yours and the ones that you go to. So we are almost ready to wrap up here, and it's been really great speaking to you, but I want to give you a moment or two to speak to the Mars discoveries.
And this is Ken Pfeifer speaking too.
Ken Pfeifer, yes. I need Kate here to keep me professional in the...
No.
Yeah, I understand. Now, the Mars here, it's photo number 2. This is near the Newton crater, discovered by myself on 11/23/2011. As you can, for years now, I've been doing this, and this here looks to me like, especially that object to the right. This is not man-made. I'm sorry, this is not natural. This is, who knows what this is. As a matter of fact, this whole area looks like a crash site. I mean, there's stuff all over the place, and this is, I saw this and it jumped out of the page at me, and I'm saying, well, what that's not natural. I mean, that's something that someone put there, and I still don't know what it is.
Does NASA have any comments on these pictures?
No, they haven't gotten back to me. I mean, as a matter of fact, I'm expecting the men in black to bang on my door, and that's another story. But no, they're putting these, they're putting the information out there. But the only problem is NASA must have 1,000 websites. It seems to me that they have put the information out there, but they're trying to make it as hard as possible for you to find it.
Let me ask you one final question. Actually, we have 2 more questions. But the final question I want to ask you about the photos is, do you have a good website to go to for close-up photos of the far side of the moon?
I would, yes, I do. As a matter of fact, I would probably say that. Let me go to it here, right here. It's just that's the one I was talking about. The
nomenclature one.
Yes, that would probably be the ideal one. I'm still looking for the perfect website, but as a matter of fact, I think now that I think about it, I think Google. I love Google. I mean Google Earth. Now, if you download Google Earth, you can also look at the moon, you can look at Mars. And you can also find these high-definition areas on Google Mars and also Google Moon. As a matter of fact, you can go to the Apollo. You can see all of the Apollo high-definition 360 images that apparently the astronauts took on the moon. And I'm still searching through these high definition photos. As a matter of fact, last night I found another UFO on the horizon of one of these photos that the astronauts took of one of the areas that they were working on. So I mean, there's so much information out there, and I like I said, I think Google Moon or Google Mars is also an excellent source of finding these strange anomalies, on the moon or Mars.
Well, thank you. And just to wrap things up, I'm wondering if you, what you're up to. Do you have plans for any new research? Are you going to continue on in the very wonderful way you are working, or do you have something different in mind for upcoming for the future? Or what's up with Ken Pfeifer for the rest of 2015 into 2016?
Well, basically, I would love to get on Hangar 1. That's a new TV show. Well, it's not new. They had it last year and it was renewed. That's a M.U.F.O.N show, and quite frankly, I think it's one of the best UFO shows on TV, and I would love to hopefully get on there someday.
Well, we wish you luck with that.
Yeah, no, I that would be pretty incredible. But no, I'm just doing my thing here. I add photos every day to my websites and my Facebook page, and I'm just plugging away here trying to find out the truth.
Well, thank you so much.
Ken, it's been a pleasure talking to you, really.
Indeed.
And it's been fun speaking about UFOs again for a change. That's one of my favorite topics.
Yes, mine as well.
And you have done yeoman's work out there in the service, and thank you very, very much.
Yes, thank you, Ken, and you're a wonderful resource.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fahrusha and Kate, you're sweethearts, and it's an honor to be on your podcast. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Happy hunting.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so that was a very interesting presentation by our friend Ken Pfeifer, the head of New Jersey MUFON, and also I don't know how he
Vermont
covers.
Rhode Island,
yeah, covers Vermont and Rhode Island. That's a long trip for the gentleman. In any case, just to wrap things up, we are going to ask you to put out questions for us, things that you want to hear about. Make note on our website. Leave comments of all sorts, and please like us on our Facebook page. Please like our blogs, and also our we're up on iTunes, but as of yet, people have not been able to post reviews on iTunes, and I don't know exactly why. But maybe it's just with time. And
it's the aliens.
It's the aliens, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Next week?
Yes. Oh, speaking of aliens. No, speaking of alien sightings, not aliens.
But next week, actually, it's on the 15th of May, which is 2 weeks from today. We are expecting to have on a wonderful guest who has been making headlines in the daily news. This is Captain Andrew Danziger, who has been writing occasionally in the news. He's a pilot, and he's had UFO sightings. He has some very interesting opinions on some high visibility airline issues that have been going on.
Yep.
And, you're welcome to look him up on the Daily News, but he is quite the man in the news, and we're proud to be able to have him on our podcast, hopefully on the 15th.
And we're really looking forward to it. But again, please, just write on the blog or on the website, whatever, what you think. Because we're not just doing this for the two of us. We'd like to know how everybody else feels about these subjects. And the more interest you have and the wider the interest goes, perhaps one day we will get to the bottom of all this, because something's up there and it's flying around.
Yes, indeed. And we thank once again our engineer and our voiceover gentleman, Mr. Nate Duffy. And so we're going to say a fond farewell.
Yep. And, keep looking out, because something's up there.
Keep your eyes to the skies.
That's right. Okay, see you in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Welcome to Shattered Reality with your hosts Kate Valentine and Fahrusha. Prepare to have your paradigms shifted and your truths questioned. And now, Shattered Reality. Shattered Reality.